I want to show you stored procedures a little bit because they're commonly used also in the workplace, and it's good for you to see it, and hopefully we'll see it again. So here's an example. I have a grades table, and I want to create a little stored procedure to update grades. Let's say every once in a while I have to curve, everyone didn't do very well, and I think maybe some of my questions weren't fair. So I don't want to do it one time, go into the database and do it. I want to create this little procedure that I can use again and again whenever I want, where I'm just going to pass in a value, and my value, and let's say I want to increase everyone's grade by 5 points, it will do that. And you could think about this, let's say salaries, you want to give everyone a raise every year. You don't want to have to go manually into the table to give everyone a raise. You want to just call your program can call this procedure, that can do it, and you specify that we're giving everyone a 10% raise. So here in my case, I'm going to do it as the curve and grades. Okay, what am I doing? The first thing I have to remember to do is always change. One of the things you'll notice is the delimiter is always a semicolon as a default, and what that means is you can actually put a number of different statements, SQL statements here. So you can write a select or a number of inserts and updates, and as long as you separate them by semicolon, it will work because that's the delimiter. But for a stored procedure, you don't want to do that because if it's a semicolon, you'll be in the middle of the statement and it's going to stop. So here I have a semicolon, it's going to stop before it even gets to end. It's going to be confused. So you want to take it away and make up something else. Usually we use these 2 forward slashes. This way it's not going to stop at a semicolon. So it's going to ignore the semicolons for now, and then I can do multiple statements. I'll show you. I have these 2 I create, but I'll tell you why I did a drop in front of it. And so instead of a semicolon, it's using this. It has a statement and other statements, and then it won't get confused with the semicolons. And then later, when we call our procedure, it will go back to using the semicolon. So remember to change your delimiter to these 2 forward slashes, because if you don't, you're going to get an error because it's going to stop as soon as it hits the first semicolon, and it's not going to go to anywhere else. So what is my statement? You don't even need this drop procedure. I did it because if you already have the procedure, so let's say, I could have just done this. I could have done this, and it would create a procedure, update grades. I called it upgrade grades, and this is what am I passing in? And I could have passed in nothing. You could leave this blank, but I actually want to pass in a value because, I want to update it by 5 points, but maybe another time I want to give everyone 10 points. Actually, I'll change it to an int to make it easier for us. I'm going to pass in an integer. All right, so it's going to be an integer. I'm calling the variable increase. In is in, like an input, and out would be output. So it's taking in an input, and it's going to call the variable increase, and it's taking in a number, an integer. So we'll pass in an integer into my procedure, and I'm calling it update grades. And what is it doing in the begin end? I'm just doing an update grades, set grade equal to grade plus increase. I'm not having a weird because I want to do for everyone. All my students in this table. Now, obviously, I could have it by semester and say where semester equals, but my table is very basic. It just has student IDs and grades. So I'm just going to do it for everyone for now. Obviously, you can be as advanced and fancy as you want. You can do any SQL statement in here. Multiple statements separated by semicolon, that's fine too. Select statement after if you want, so you don't have to do it yourself. So, all right, but I'm just going to do this. I'm just doing, so when I call update grades, I'll pass in a value, which I'll call increase. And then when I do my update grades, it's just going to add increase. Grade plus increase will be the new grade. Why did I now let me put back what I just deleted. Why did I do this? I actually already have update grades because I was testing this before I made this video. So in general, you'll want something like this because what if you did it wrong? What if you made a mistake in there and then you wanted to update your stored procedure? So you could just say drop procedure. If it exists already, just drop it. Drop is how we would remove things like tables we've dropped. So here and here, we're just going to drop this stored procedure. So if it already exists, just remove it, just drop it, delete it. And then we do it again, create it again. So that's why I put it in, because I actually know I already have it. So I'm going to drop it, and then I'm going to create it. And now let's see what happens. I'm going to hit go. I make sure your delimiter is set to not a semicolon or this won't work. Oh, and I got an error. What's my error? What did I do wrong? Let's see, my semicolon is probably great. Let's see what I did wrong. We have the drop procedure. We made sure that our delimiter is set to this. Grade plus grade. I found my error. I changed it to decimal, and I left an extra parenthesis from the end of the decimal. So I think it should work. Now let's try. All right. So that worked. Now I'm going to call it. Actually, if you want to see your stored procedures, you could do show. I think, let me see. I'll double check. It is show procedure status, and I'll put these in nice lecture notes for you so you have it. But instead of my sloppy Word document, show procedure status will show you them all. So I have my update grades. And now I want to call it. So how am I going to call it? Call update grades, and I want to pass a number. I want to update it by 5. Actually, before I do this, I want to show you what my grades are so I could prove it works. So you can see I have 55, 99. So we're going to add all these by 5. I just want to prove to you that it's working, that I'm not lying. Because why would I lie about this? 55, 99, 65, remember 100, remember these numbers. Now I'm going to go in, and I'm going to call my procedure, which was call update grades. I'm going to pass in 5, so everything should go up by 5. And now if we go back to my grades table, you'll see 60, 104 because that was 99, 70, 105, that was the one that was 100. So you can see I just updated all of the grades by 5. And now I have this little like script kind of that I can use again and again from programs whenever I want, that I can always use instead of having to go in and manually do this code, especially if it's something that I do a lot or will need. So it's actually very, very useful.